We have the President of the European Council standing here and the President of the European Commission. You know we have translation. We'll have Q&A following the President's interventions first. Please.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Before discussing COVID-19, I would like to give you a brief update on the MFF. As you know, in July we agreed by unanimity the MFF and recovery package, and we need to stay united on this. This financial package is essential for our economic recovery. We need to implement it as soon as possible. Chancellor Merkel gave us an update on the state of play of the ongoing discussion following the last trilogue with Parliament. On the mechanism on conditionality, the vast majority of Member States agree with a compromise on the table, and some Member States have indicated that they are not able to support the majority. We will continue the discussions to find an acceptable solution to all. On terrorism, we expressed our solidarity towards France and Austria. We will never shy away from defending our values and promoting our freedoms, and we will continue to fight the ideology of hatred, including online. It's crucial for us to look at the role of online platforms and set a stricter framework. We will look at this issue together in December and look forward to the Commission's proposal on this, the Digital Services Act, which we expect in December. COVID-19 in Europe remains serious and concerning, and we are monitoring the situation closely. That's why today we continued our discussions to assess the current situation and coordinate our efforts. We have seen promising signs since our last meeting, but we remain cautious and vigilant. We cannot let down our guard. We discussed again three important issues: testing, vaccines, and the lifting of restrictive measures and coordination. First, on testing, we discussed how to develop a common EU approach for the use of rapid antigen tests. Those tests are complementary to PCR tests in our testing strategies. We need to work towards mutual recognition of tests and their results. For rapid tests, this is based on common criteria guaranteeing their performance. We also discussed national testing strategies and exchanged best practices. Second, on vaccines. The results of recent trials are encouraging. Future vaccines are within reach, and we need to be ready. We agreed to speed up the preparations of national vaccination plans to ensure vaccines are available and affordable to all European citizens once authorized. We welcome that Member States and the Commission have already finalized several purchases agreements. There will be, we know that, logistical challenges like storage, transport and the number of doses, and another challenge will be communication. The number of people distrustful of vaccines is growing, and we must clearly communicate their value. Finally, we had a discussion on the lifting of restrictions. We need to learn past lessons and be cautious when we lift restrictions. It should be gradual and regressive. We all want to celebrate the end of the year holidays, but safely. Let's ring in the new year safely. COVID-19 has a devastating human cost. There are family and friends behind all the numbers and statistics. Let's never forget that. That's why we are working 24/7 to defeat this virus. Let's continue to stand together, work together and support each other. We will follow up at our next European Council meeting in December.
Thank you, Mr. President. Madam President, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. So indeed, this VTC was mostly about COVID. and it has an enormous added value that we have a coordination to what our response to the COVID pandemic is concerned across the EU. In this context, I could announce that we had the first meeting of the EU platform of national science advisors that took place last week. It was a very good meeting, and we have agreed that we will have every 2 weeks now this platform meeting of the national science and health advisors to the government in order to have a benchmarking and to have an exchange of best practices and experience. Another topic was the passenger locator form. Here I can update that 4 weeks ago we were tasked to develop a passenger locator form digitally. Now we are launching the first pilot in close cooperation with EASA. And the good news is that 2 member states now have already signed up. This is enough to start the pilot, but we have another 12 member states that are now technically ready to join because they have already adopted a compatible digital passenger locator form. So our goal is that we will be ready with the passenger locator form till the end of the year. The tests, of course, were a big topic. As you know, yesterday the Commission has adopted a recommendation on the use of rapid antigen tests. This was the topic, of course, in the VTC, on when to use them and how to use them. Here's important, the rapid antigen tests are good if you have a high prevalence of infected people of the virus. Of course, the gold standard is always the PCR, but the PCRs are way more expensive and they need laboratory capacity, so it lasts longer till the result is there. And therefore, the rapid antigen tests are very interesting, for example, to manage outbreaks or to regularly monitor high-risk groups, for example, in admission to healthcare facilities, but also for the triage of symptomatic patients or residents. Important is that we set performance criteria, because at the moment being you see that a lot of rapid antigen tests are appearing on the market and not all of them have the same quality. So it is important to have rapid antigen tests that have a sensitivity that is above 80%. That means if you have 100% of infected people, the test has at least to discover more than 80% of these. Or if you would like to prefer smaller numbers, if you have 5 infected people, at least 4 should be detected by the rapid antigen test. Then it has a good performance. Why am I saying that? Because there are so many different on the market, it is for us important that we validate and therefore we establish a EU framework for the validation, and this of course brings then mutual recognition across border. The vaccination topic was also of high importance. We have now adopted 5 contracts with BioNTech, CureVac, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson and Sanofi. And we continue negotiations with Moderna, and we are in talks with Novavax. It was very good to see that all member states have signed up to buy all the same vaccines and stay in our portfolio. That is good news. This portfolio of now 5 vaccines, hopefully soon 6 vaccines types, is so important because it covers 4 different technologies to produce a vaccine, and it may be so that different vaccines work better in different parts of the populations than others. Of course, all vaccines in our portfolio will be properly assessed with all data by EMA, the European Medicine Agency, before we authorize them. For us, it's very important to be in close contact with other renowned authorities. For example, when we come to the authorization of BioNTech or Moderna to be in close cooperation and contact with the FDA, the US equivalent to our EMA. EMA is in daily calls with the FDA to synchronize the assessment, and if all proceeds with no problems, EMA tells us that the conditional marketing authorization for BioNTech and Moderna could happen as early as the second half of December 2020. To the international part, COVAX, you know, the international facility to make sure that low and middle income countries have access to vaccines. Here, the Team Europe, that is the Member States and the European Commission, provided €800 million to COVAX. This is the largest donation in the world, and this is a very good message of the Team Europe. Last but not least, we have all learned from the experience in the summer that the exit from a wave, in this case the exit from the first wave, is very difficult, and that the impact of lifting measures too hasty has had a very bad impact on the epidemiological situation in summer and fall. Therefore, this time expectations have to be managed. We will make a proposal for a gradual and coordinated approach to lifting containment measures. This will be very important to avoid the risk of yet another wave. And we are working on a vaccination campaign to support member states in the communication on the importance of vaccines. It is self-protection and it is solidarity. Finally, indeed, the President of the Council already said that there was a brief exchange on MFF, Next Generation EU, and the conditionality mechanism. We had found an agreement in July at 27. It consists of these three components. I think to meet the needs and expectations of the European citizens, we need the whole package. It has been agreed between the Council and the European Parliament. Now it is important that we move forward. The Commission supports the agreement found in the trilogue between Council and Parliament. And for me, it is equally important for the future of the European Union to have a budget and to uphold the rule of law. We are now working with the rotating presidency who is leading the efforts to find a solution. We all know that millions of European businesses and citizens are waiting for the answer in the midst of this unprecedented crisis. And the strength of our union has always been to overcome difficult situations by engaging with each other. So we continue to work hard to reach an agreement soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We'll take a few questions now. We have many, so we won't be able to talk to all of you. Can I ask you kindly to switch on your cameras and please state to whom you want to address your question to. We'll take Oliver Grimm first from Die Presse. Die Presse. Oliver, can you hear us?
Oui, tout à fait. Je vous entends. Oups, pardon.
Très bien. Vous avez...
J'ai un écho, ok. En tout cas, maintenant ça marche. Une toute petite question. L'Hongrie a reçu la première livraison du vaccin russe. Est-ce que vous avez en parlé? Et si oui, quelles étaient les réactions des leaders? Et surtout, quelle est la réaction de Madame la Présidente, vu que la Commission était toujours très, disons, sceptique vis-à-vis cette démarche russe. Merci bien.
Madam President, yes.
Okay. No, it was not topic in this VTC. In general, we all know that vaccination is a matter of safety and trust. And we only have safety and trust if there is transparency about the data of the development of the vaccine and how the clinical trials have been conducted. And therefore, I think it is of utmost importance that any vaccine that should be used should undergo the authorization process in EMA. This is then full transparency. This creates trust, and this makes sure that safety is guaranteed. This is my opinion on this case.
Next question is for Susanna Fresches. Please, Susanna, can you hear us?
Yeah. Thank you. Susanna Fresches, SIC and Portugal. Still on vaccines, I would like to ask President, you mentioned that a green light could happen in the second half of December for 2 vaccines. So should we expect distribution already in December or something only in January? And which share do you expect to save for third countries? Did the leaders have agreed on this? And if I may also, on the MFF, should we expect a physical meeting here in Brussels in December to discuss this topic, and how do you expect to solve it? Political declaration or a recovery fund without these 2 countries? Thank you.
Peut-être un mot sur les vaccins pour indiquer que la Commission travaille de manière très déterminée, très engagée avec les États membres. Les explications ont été données sur les progrès importants qui ont été réalisés afin que des contrats puissent être signés pour garantir l'approvisionnement sur le plan européen. Mais vous avez compris que nous voulons aussi faire en sorte que les procédures soient respectées. Et nous verrons dans les prochaines semaines si effectivement les autorisations peuvent être données pour les différentes firmes qui sont en train de travailler sur le développement des vaccins. Et nous avons l'espoir que dans le courant de l'année prochaine, on ne peut pas dire avec certitude à quel moment exact, mais dans le courant de la semaine prochaine, des vaccins puissent être déployés. Et nous travaillons intensément, Union européenne et États membres, pour résoudre et anticiper les nombreux défis logistiques auxquels nous allons être confrontés. Et vous avez compris que la Commission a formulé des propositions de critères pour s'assurer qu'il y ait de l'équité entre États membres dans la distribution des vaccins. Par ailleurs, nous n'oublions pas la situation des Western Balkans, pour lesquels nous sommes aussi extrêmement engagés. Et nous n'oublions pas la question internationale. Et vous savez que nous avons été à l'initiative d'une conférence internationale pour financer les vaccins. Et nous sommes maintenant très actifs dans le cadre du processus COVAX afin de garantir que partout dans le monde, il y ait la capacité de considérer les vaccins comme un bien commun. C'est un premier point sur les vaccins. Et c'est aussi la démonstration de l'utilité de ces vidéoconférences régulières au niveau des chefs d'État et de gouvernement, parce que ça nous donne l'occasion d'avoir au même moment le même niveau d'information sur l'état d'avancement du processus, et ça montre bien l'implication du Conseil et des chefs d'État et de gouvernement pour s'assurer que l'on comprenne très exactement quelles sont à chacune des étapes les questions devant nous, les difficultés devant nous, et comment on peut tenter ensemble de progresser pour résoudre ces difficultés. Un mot maintenant sur la question du mécanisme de conditionnalité dans le cadre du MFF et du Recovery Fund. J'ai l'intention de mener des consultations dans différents formats pour préparer le sommet du mois de décembre. Le sommet du mois de décembre est un sommet avec beaucoup de sujets à l'agenda, vous le savez. C'est la présidence allemande du Conseil qui est en charge de la négociation avec l'appui de la Commission en lien avec le trilogue. Nous avons en toute transparence expliqué quelle était la situation, qui du reste est connue depuis plusieurs jours. Une large majorité d'États membres soutient le projet de compromis qui a été validé par le Parlement européen dans le cadre du leadership mené par la présidence allemande. Il y a quelques États membres qui ont eu l'occasion de s'exprimer et de dire les raisons pour lesquelles ils ne soutiennent pas ce compromis. Nous allons donc continuer à travailler. La magie de l'Union européenne, c'est de réussir à trouver des solutions même quand on croit que c'est impossible. Personne ne sous-estime la difficulté de la situation, personne ne sous-estime le caractère sérieux de l'obstacle auquel nous sommes confrontés, mais il y a la volonté dans les jours qui viennent, de travailler très, très intensément pour tenter de progresser, pour faire en sorte que l'on puisse résoudre les difficultés auxquelles nous sommes confrontés.
Madam President.
Thank you. On the vaccines, So I wanted to reiterate that EMA tells us that conditional marketing authorization, so this is the very, very first step to be able to go on the market for BioNTech and Moderna, could happen as early as the second half of December if all proceeds now without any problem. So then, of course, at the beginning, small numbers come. And the large numbers will only come later. This is important to keep in mind. This also explains why we had asked the member states that based on our blueprint from the Commission, they please develop vaccination plans. So the recommendation is, for example, first healthcare workers and essential workers, the elderly, people with comorbidity, so that there is a clear planning and explanation that you have a stepwise approach as the doses come for the vaccination. On the other question with the neighborhood, there is a twofold approach. The most important and impressive one is COVAX, that we have created together internationally with the help of many, I think about 190 countries are now member of COVAX. And the principle is that the high-income countries make sure that they fund COVAX in order to give the possibility to the low- and middle-income countries to have access to vaccines. Gavi is the overall organization authority in the COVAX facility. And there is another option that if member states happen to have too many doses, they of course are able and legally allowed to donate those doses, for example, for the Western Balkan, as at the moment being the different vaccines that are being developed in the European portfolio are promising. So far we had no failure. It may very well be that we reach this stage I was just describing.
Thank you. We'll take another question now from Deutsche Welle. Bernd Riegertz. Bernd, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much. A question to both presidents. How do you see the actions by Poland and Hungary? Do you feel betrayed or blackmailed?
It's not my intention to say anything which would make the situation more difficult. The situation is the following. In July, we took a very important decision, and I think it was a good, an important step in the right direction. And now we need to implement what we have decided. And that's why the German presidency has worked very hard with the European Parliament, with the support of the Commission, in order to make a deal with the European Parliament. We take note of the current situation, but it's not enough. We are working and we will continue to work in order to find a solution. I think, like we said before, that it's key for our people everywhere in Europe. It's key for our businesses, the small, the medium-sized and the big, to demonstrate that we are able to support a very strong recovery effort, a very strong recovery package. We have a clear vision about what we need to do in the future. We need to improve and to strengthen our climate ambition. We need to develop our digital agenda. We need financial means. We took a very important and strong decision a few months ago, and now we need to implement what we have decided, and we will work in order to reach this goal.
Yes, basically my answer is very clear. Neither nor. This cannot be. Indeed, we have a very serious situation now. People in Europe and the businesses, the companies in Europe are urgently waiting for the funding in this unprecedented crisis and deep recession coming from Next Generation EU. And indeed now we sit down, we negotiate, we listen to what the issues are, we try to solve them. And again, I want to reiterate that Europe, in many, many very critical situations, in the very end, has found solutions to move forward.
Thank you. We'll take one last question. De France 24, Catherine Nicholson. Catherine.
Hi there. Yes. On a similar note, talking about the MFF, you said, Charles Michel, that there was a compromise on the table. Can you tell us more about what this compromise involves? And you also said that the vast majority of member states agree on the conditionality. Can you tell us which member states did not agree?
I'm convinced that you know which are the member states which have expressed doubts on the compromise which is on the table. But to be clear, I received Ursula, Angela Merkel, and myself letters from 3 countries expressing reserves on the current compromise which is on the table, and I think that we need to work very hard in order to try to find a solution.
Madam President, maybe you, okay.
We're fine. It was
okay, that's perfect.
all-encompassing. Thank you.
Thank you for your interventions. Thank you for joining us, and see you next time.